happened with it?
No.
Oh, now I see that it's back on live. I see it live.
I know we're not gonna start all the way over, but we live now, y'all?
Let me see.
I think see.
I see live on Facebook on the corner.
Yeah, I think we live now.
Yeah. Okay.
I think so.
Okay.
Yeah, we are.
We back.
Yeah.
Okay, cool. I said at the top. I don't know what was happening. Sorry, y'all. First of all, don't judge us. This is our first time doing this. Next time we might just go like on Facebook Live. This is amazing that we have good friends that's like, girl, your Facebook Live went off, so we fixed it, but we back on. So the next question I have is, what are the pros and cons of going to therapy? Because I really do want to say, even as a therapist and a person that goes to therapy, because I want to let you know that if you have a therapist that don't go to therapy, you might need to switch that therapist. Just because
you're right about that.
So make sure your therapist is checking in with somebody else with her mental. But the question is, like, what are the pros and cons of therapy? Because there's some pros of it, but child, there's some cons of it too that ain't always the nicest. So what are some pros and cons of therapy?
I think there are a lot of pros. I think the pros are it helps you get control of your life. It helps you figure out why you think the way you think, why you feel the way you feel, why you operate the way that you operate. But the con for me with therapy is you can't go too long because then your therapist becomes a crutch. Like if you're not careful, your therapist will you'll filter everything through them. You'll almost like you have to make sure that you still keep your own mind. Like they can help you work through your problems and stuff, but you still have to keep your own mind, or otherwise you'll be solely dependent on them. And then like when anything happens to you, you're like, oh my God, I have to call my therapist instead of thinking your way through it.
Mm-hmm. What about you, Xavier?
I'm just gonna piggyback off Kelly. That was my con because my first therapy, I was going to her so long, I just got comfortable with her, and when stuff was going on in my life, I just had to pick up that phone and was like, I gotta call my therapist. So that was a downfall for me because I think we became so close. Like she stopped being my therapist, she started being my friend. So I had to go.
Core boundaries of your therapist, FYI. Because I let the people know you not my friend, okay? So I'm gonna let y'all know, like if y'all come to me as a therapist, I ain't your friend. I'm gonna tell you that I can't be your friend on social media. I can't go out with you. I can't kick it with you. Don't call me unless it's a super emergency. And if it's a super emergency, you have to call me like 3 times. Then I know it's an emergency. So I'm a real big therapist, so baby, use your skills. What did we talk about? And I do that because I don't want you to become dependent on me. Right? Because sometimes people are like Kelly and Xavier when they're like, oh, Lord, this happened. I need to call my therapist. Not on the weekend. Not on the weekend. Your therapist ain't trying to hear your problems, right? Because she out. And I'm not. Because my job as a therapist is to help you. I need you to work me out of a job. I need you to be able to come tell me, Krystal, this is what happened. This is how I handle it. This was my coping skills. This what it looks like, girl. And I work through that. And I need to be able to say, well, girl, instead of you coming to see me every 2 weeks, you need to come see me every month. Now, it seems kind of intuitive that I'm working myself out of a job, but what it's saying is that you're progressing in therapy. You're able to handle your own problems without feeling like you need somebody else to bounce that off. You're using it talked about in therapy. From a therapist point of view and being a client myself, I think one of the cons of therapy is sometimes it gets worse before it gets better. Sometimes you have to definitely work through some stuff that's uncomfortable.
That's very true.
Can y'all talk about that for me of like your therapist calling you out on some stuff that you like, hold on, girl. You know, I gotta put that mirror to my face like that because I wouldn't even hear it. And most of the time people say that I wouldn't even hear to talk about what I did wrong. I was just trying to tell you what happened. So what do you do when the therapist was like,
Well, I would say for me, I appreciated it. Like I appreciated going in and she put me in my place. It's letting me know in my head that Xavier, you are not always right. You can be wrong too. So it just made me appreciate her more. But she was honest. You can be honest with me.
Same for me. I appreciate the honesty because, like, okay, so both of them have told me, Prophetess and the therapist that I was going to, like, okay, you're spoiled. Your daddy has done pretty much everything for you. So, you know, some of this is you're struggling so bad because, like, you got to be a real live adult by yourself without your dad and not your mom. And so, like, I was mad at first because I was like, I mean, I take care of myself, I pay all my bills, but you know, I had to realize some things about myself and why I thought the way that I thought, why I processed things the way that I processed things. And so, like, I agree. I mean, it why it seems like a negative, it really was a positive.
What would you say is the difference between like your friends and a therapist? Your friend's advice versus a therapist's advice.
Your therapist is not biased.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yes.
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 Yeah.
We're not.
Yeah, your therapist is not biased.
But your friends can be.
Yeah, and your therapist is gonna be more objective than your friends, especially. Okay, let's just say hypothetically. This is not me, but just hypothetically. Let's say you're going through with your boyfriend.
Okay.
Your friends gonna be like, "Girl, he ain't this and he ain't that, and he trifling and he this and you need to do this." Where your therapist is gonna be like, "But what did you do? And what did you say? And what did you do to trigger this situation?" Versus your friends taking up for you and your friends being on your side and be like, well, he ain't no good, he this or he that. Or if you get into it with somebody else, your friends are gonna side with you. They may tell you that you're wrong, but they're not going to be able to help you see the whole of the situation and how your issues played into the situation like a therapist could.
Exactly. What about you?
I think the same thing. Your friends can be biased sometimes, and your therapist, like, they give it to you raw. Like, it's like you was wrong in this situation. You were wrong, but your friends kind of always have your back. But Krystal, I don't know about you because you know you have gave me some honesty. You have gave me some honesty too about myself.
Right. So, and won't she gut punch us exactly?
Yeah.
But that's because I'm a therapist. So that role is a little hard to separate. And I can be very objective about people. But I think that's true. I think what y'all said is true. Like, your therapist is not biased. I don't know your whole history of relationship. And I'm not invested in I'm invested in you being okay, but I'm not invested in, like, I gotta protect you because you my friend, right? So, like, if they're my friends, and so if they're in a relationship, we're using it as an example. They're in a relationship that I feel like that's unhealthy for them, or they're in a relationship, I'm in a relationship that they feel like is unhealthy. They're gonna come at me from the point of, you're my friend. I want you to be okay. I know what you've been through in your life. You don't know here. This just like Jim at the back, you know. It's before he the same dude.
Right.
They gonna come from that perspective. And I ain't gonna lie, I ain't always trying to hear that, and they not always trying to hear that either. I mean, they don't tell them what they already know about themselves. So I think from a friend perspective, it's more of like, I'm protecting you, and not necessarily looking at the whole picture of, this is your pattern, this is, you know, stuff that's coming from the background, and this is how it's affecting you. So I think that it's hard for you to be objective because they look.
Because your therapist gonna be like, so what makes you pick trifling men?
Exactly.
Right.
Characteristics you like, and what how does it make you feel when he puts you in your place? So we ask them, when he's aggressive, what does that do for you? So we ask questions like that, right? It's a lot different. The other part I wanted to say is that, and I think I'm guilty of this as a therapist, but as a friend, more not a therapist, but a friend, is that sometimes your friends can't always handle your
No.
Sometimes they're not in the place to hear about your stuff.
Right.
Or they don't want to.
Or they tired. Because transparency, I wear my friends out about a certain issue. They probably like, girl, heard about it, right? So, like,
we love you though.
We do.
Always like want to hear your stuff, or even have the capacity at that time to hear your stuff, if that makes sense. So, any other reasons why you wouldn't tell your friends certain things?
Because my friends go through the same thing. How they gonna help me?
Yes.
Kill it.
But I will say that's another thing, y'all, is that your friends, when they know you personally, like if I want to counsel one of them, they gonna be like, "Girl, you're going through the same thing. How you gonna help me with something and you struggling?"
And you going through the same thing.
Right. But I mean, this is a trend.
Cause it ain't even no counseling section. Y'all checking each other.
We helping each other out. We praying for each other on the altar because we don't know.
It's about child.
My clients don't know that. Like, I don't share my personal life with them, so they don't know, like, oh, Krystal is going through this. Because if they did, it would like bash the integrity of our therapeutic relationship.
Right.
And then the session will be more about what we need to do instead of like what they need to do to improve their life.
You got to stay on that professional level.
Right.
And I think I'm in the middle professional, right? So
because you still come through, Krystal still comes through.
I'm typically myself, so I'm helping you out, right? But I'm myself. I'm not approaching you in no professional manner. And I think this was a show too, is that my therapy sessions kind of like this. So these are my friends. Of course, I'm way more comfortable with them talking about topics that just are open. But in real life, like, I'm a comfortable therapist. I'm not the therapist that's like, "Hi, what brought you in today?" No, I'm like, "Girl, what's going on? You here? You done made it to this chair? Child, what happened?" That is me. And most time as Black women, as Black men, we feel comfortable with it because that's the language we speak. And sometimes that's soft, like, "What brings you in?" It's like, "Girl, I need no therapist." Because she
mine was soft like that with me. I needed her to be soft.
And you broke down as soon as you got it.
You broke down.
Yeah, they hand you a tissue box. And you were through. I mean, you still, of course, want to have that empathy or whatever. But as far as, me being something that I'm not other than who I am, that doesn't happen in therapy. So just know that every therapist you go to won't be this image in your head of what you think a therapist should be. And I think she said something that was really good. She said, "I went to a therapist that didn't work for me. And that therapist helped me find somebody that did." And just another big thing too is that we as therapists know that we're not a good fit for everybody. So I'm not a good therapist for everybody. And I know a lot of therapists that aren't good for other people too. And so we recognize this. So we ain't not like we hustling. It's like, I might not be the best therapist, or my skill set might not be the thing that you need to push through whatever you're going through. So let me refer you to somebody that will be more helpful to you. So good therapists know their limits, and they will refer you out to somebody who can help you better. I have told people about free counseling resources because I felt like that was what they needed, and I was going to do them an injustice as their therapist. So, you get your therapist is almost like you're interviewing that person too, to make sure this is a good fit for you, that this person can walk on this journey with you, because not everybody can. And it's a journey, because it's not like you go to therapy one time and you done. Right. You come to therapy one time and you done, then you was just there to let somebody lick your wounds. But it's a little bit in that.
Because it definitely take more than one session.
Definitely.
We can't learn your whole history in one session.
You cannot, no.
Learn your whole life in one session. Because most of the time when you come to us for their first session, you're in crisis. People don't go to therapy because they just bored. You go to therapy because, child, I can't do this no more. And I done talked to everybody around me, and I still can't do this. I done prayed about it, it ain't happening, it ain't moving. I don't see no way out. My situation is not changing. So I need to go talk to somebody to see if this is me or this is the situation. And if it's both, how do I get through that? So that first session is basically trying to hold y'all together and find out what's happening. So, you have to give whatever therapist you're working with. If you're working with a therapist now, you have to give that therapist time to get to know you, to help you out. And you got to be willing to put in the work. I tell my people from the jump, they might consider me a mean therapist, don't care. I might not just be the fit. But we're going to do some work. So you're not going to come to me for 5 months and we crying every time. Listen, you can cry, but if we ain't doing no homework, if we ain't trying no new techniques, we ain't trying no new coping skills, you ain't trying to do nothing.
So, Krystal, have you ever had a client that you didn't connect with? Like
a lot of them.
Not
a lot of them, but they wasn't a good fit for me.
Okay.
So there's a difference, and I guess this might be a helpful question for people that's watching. So there's different type of therapists you can go to. You go to a mental health agency, which is your community mental health. So when you go to community mental health, what they assigned you to a therapist. You ain't got no choice. Right?
Yeah,
You're gonna give whoever they give you, because more than likely that therapy is going to be cheap, especially if you have like Medicaid or Medicare. You're gonna get what they give you, right? So you don't really have a lot of choices of who you can pick and choose. And so there were some times where I would work in programs where they didn't have a lot of choices because I was just the therapist that they were assigned to. And really, I wasn't a good fit for them. A lot of the times, the reason why I wasn't a good fit with them, surprisingly, is because I was a Black woman. So there were a lot of clients that I had that were Caucasian that didn't necessarily feel me. Like they would think that I didn't know anything because the way I spoke, the way I carried myself. She's a Black woman with red lips and big hair. She don't know what she's talking about. So I would prefer to have the white woman, that's more groomed to what I like. She automatically knows more. Right. So it was a lot of that. It was also a lot of like, depending on the population that I was counseling. If I counseled like older men that were Caucasian, they didn't necessarily feel me either because I was a young Black girl. I didn't know what I was talking about. So and some young people as well, they would say, I feel like you haven't struggled enough in life to get what I'm going through. Yeah. So I would prefer a different therapist because you ain't been through enough. You spoiled. Right. So they would judge me. But again, when you're coming in therapy, if your therapy is about me, then you're not ready to work anyway.
That's good.
Your therapy is not about me, your therapy is about you. So it's not about if I'm spoiled, if I'm Black, if I'm white, if I'm brown, if I'm whatever. It's about I'm here for me. Can you help me?
Well, I am guilty of that. I have judged my therapist. I'm like, she's not gonna work for me. I have had switched therapists, I know, at least 4 times.
Okay. Why?
But that's good though.
And just to piggyback off what I was saying earlier, I don't want to get comfortable like I did with my first therapist. My first therapist was the best to me, but I don't want to get comfortable. I don't want to be friends. I want you to give me your honest advice to help me improve my life.
But that's good though, Xavier, because I feel like it's real easy to get comfortable and stay with that person and let that person just be your friend and then be like, oh girl, okay, something happened to me, tell me what to do. But the fact that you did the homework yourself and said, okay, this is not a good fit. Okay, this is not a good fit either. Like my mental health space is important to me. Like that's really, really good.
And since we're on this because we're going for the Black community, I will say this, not all, and I'm going to say this, just transparent and raw and real. Not all white therapists can't understand. Like, that's a myth. Like, my therapist is a white old lady and she gets me together, okay? So it's just because their skin color is different doesn't mean that they can't understand you if they're trying to understand.
Right.
That's the difference. I don't have to go through what you go through to understand how to help you through that. Because if that was the case, then I could be your friend. So I'm a therapist. I ain't went through all the problems that I hear. That would be unrealistic. So, our job is not to say we feel sympathy for you. Our job is that we feel empathy for you, which means that we understand as a human what you're going through. This is hard. I've never been through that, but it seems hard for you. How can I help you go through that? What skills do I need to give you or teach you to help you maneuver through whatever difficulties you're experiencing in life? And on the flip side, I know some white therapists that I wouldn't refer you to if you gave me $1 million to. Because they have a hard time understanding the Black experience, right? So they have a hard time understanding that when we come to therapy, and it's deeper than this, when we come to therapy, you have to think about stuff at like the Tuskegee experiments, right? They were
right, exactly.
So why would we trust white people in a system that hasn't been built for us?
Wow.
So when a white therapist don't understand your hesitancy in going to them, then that may be somebody like you want to be like, oh, okay, I don't know about this because this person doesn't get why my trust is deeper than me.
That's very true. That's good.
Yeah. And also research shows, I'm a nerd, y'all. I might be all get on stuff, but I'm kind of a nerd on the background. But research shows honestly that we just have a mistrust of the system anyway, and that Caucasian psychiatrists and mental health therapists overdiagnose Black people.
Oh wow.
Diagnose them with
Really?
like harsher diagnosis than white people.
Oh wow.
I might go in and they actually might be experiencing a traumatic experience, but they might diagnose them with a psychotic disorder because it doesn't sound real to them because they don't understand the Black experience.
Wow.
Right? So it's these type of things that we constantly see in our system that makes us feel like I don't want to go to a white therapist.
Mm-hmm.
Right?
Yeah.
They're gonna give me this diagnosis that's gonna follow me.
Wow.
So when you're looking for a therapist, you make sure like they don't have to be Black, but you make sure like they understand the history that you come with, if that makes sense.
Mm-hmm.
The history
Right,
before.
right.
So it'll be a little deeper than what we think. Also understand your trauma. I just want to throw this out here, real nerdy too. You can look this up on your own. But so these researchers did this research experiment, right? They did it on rats. And so what they did was they did it on rats because rats populate generations really fast. And so basically they took these rats, these two rats, and they put them in a cage and they put some sweet oil in the cage. And so whenever the rats would touch the sweet oil, they would shock them.
Oh wow.
And so whenever those rats went to the sweet oil, they would shock them. So they repopulated those rats, and probably like 5 to 6 generations after those rats, they put those new generation rats in the cage and put sweet oil in there, and those rats wouldn't go to the sweet oil, even though they never been shocked.
Really?
Yes. So what it shows us that we still experience trauma and we still behave based on what our ancestors went through, even though we didn't have their experience.
That is something.
So these rats would not touch their oil. They had never been shocked. They would not touch their oil just because it was the trauma was in their DNA 5 generations.
Wow.
Wow.
Right. So when we start talking about mental health, I know I'm like super goofy and stuff like that and super like, yes. But realistically, it's research behind this of we still experience trauma from our ancestors.
From my ancestors. Yeah.
And we didn't even know what they experienced. We read about what they experienced.
Mm-hmm.
We don't know, but we still experience this. So of course, when we go to these mental health providers and these psychiatrists and psychologists, we will know. We've been through the race. So, you know.
Wow.
The next question I had, guys, is what was, and we have a question. Xavier popped out. I hope he pops back in. So Kelly, this is just you. But the next question is, so I have a question by Christopher Kimbrell. And he says, how do you hold your therapist accountable for the treatment that you're receiving? So ask for the receipts. Okay, ask for the receipts. You have the right. You have the right to know what modality of treatment your therapy is using. So every therapist that's a licensed therapist is trained to have a modality of treatment that they're using. Whether they're a humanistic therapist, whether they are a Christian therapist, whether they're claiming that they're doing life coaching, whether they're a CBT therapist, which is cognitive behavior therapist, which is what type of therapist I am. You have the right to ask what that is and what that means, right? What does that mean for you? I'm a cognitive behavior therapist, which means that I just believe what you think determines how you feel, and what you feel determines what you do. And if I can change the way you think, I can determine I can change the way what you do. I can change your behavior. That's my modality. Now, a lot of more stuff comes with it, but if one of my clients was to ask me which modality of treatment you're coming from, what are you using, I let them know. You can also ask your therapist for their resume. You can ask them, can I see your resume? I recently, this is very transparent. I just started a new private practice. So like starting a new private practice, you got all these forms and informed consents and all this stuff that people have to sign. And I sent out an informed consent and it was like some language, the sentence, like the last sentence or something was like jumbled. And one of the like new clients that hadn't seen me yet sent it back and was like, I don't mean no harm, but can you correct this? So that could have taken a certain way, but it was really like she could have judged me off like that line. Oh, this lady don't know what she's talking about, right? And she could have asked for my receipt. Can I see your license, right? Mm-hmm. You can look any therapist up, FYI, you can look any therapist up. If they're a Tennessee therapist, you can look them up on Tennessee.gov. And it would tell you if they're licensed or not. And it would tell you about their license.
Oh, wow.
So just because someone is telling you that I'm a licensed professional, go to Tennessee.gov to license verification.
And make sure they are licensed.
And make sure that they're licensed, right?
But that modality piece is good, Chris, because I don't think when you go, you even know to ask that. Like, that's the first time I've
Right. That's something. Yeah, me too.
No, yeah, but it tells you what type of it tells you what type of treatment you're getting. Because what they don't tell you is like if I was a humanistic therapist, that I can't bill for that. I can't tell your insurance that I was all over here, experiencing you as a human and they're gonna pay me. No, because they're gonna say that's not evidence-based. There's no proof behind it that it works. Evidence-based people just means that these people done research that this thing that I'm doing with you works.
Okay.
So cognitive behavior therapy is evidence-based, which means that the techniques that I do with you are evidence-based and they're proving to work. So insurance pay for things that work. It's just like if you go to the doctor, I can't give you no medicine that don't work.
It don't work, right.
And that's another thing with medicine. I'm just giving y'all all the free tips. This is why we're having this, is that if someone gives you psychotropic medication, please believe it only has to work 80% before they can put it on the shelf. So the medications you're getting does not even have to work 100%, only 80%. And the crazy thing about it is that most things that you're diagnosed with and that you're getting medication for, exercise is proven to work 80% as well. So,
really?
Yes, but let me make this disclaimer now. If you diagnosed with things like bipolar, please get on your lithium to stabilize your mood.
Please.
Okay? Right. So please listen to your doctor. But what I'm telling you is that you basically have a voice in your therapy. This is not you just go to them and they just give you whatever. Now, what medication are you prescribing me? Is there alternatives to this? Can this be a lower dosage? Is this a generic version or a real version? How, what percent is this proven to work? Is there other things that I can do? So you have a voice. You have a voice.
And a lot of people don't know.
Yeah, what's the side effect?
A lot of people don't know they can ask those questions.
They don't. And you can research stuff yourself. I'm gonna try to have next week Dr. Parker to get on. She's a psychiatry nurse practitioner, and one of the things she do is tell her clients to go research it. Bring me some research back. Tell me what you found before I prescribe you this, and we can talk about what you found. Because she wants them to know like you're in control.
Educate yourself, right?
This is your life, and you don't have to just let people tell you what to do. And you don't have no power to do nothing back. Like that's not how it works. Challenge me in therapy. And if I don't know nothing, I'm like, girl, I don't know. I'm fine out though, but I don't know right now. Let me go do my research. I also want to say that like therapists are not a know-it-all be-all, right? Like we are not a fix-it. You come to me and I'm gonna fix your problem. Like, no. Some stuff I have to go have consultation for and say, I've never dealt with this case before, supervisor or a person that's over me. How do I need to proceed in this? Help me out. Help me look at this from a different way so that I can help this person. Also, the last part I would say to the question that was asked is that you have the right to say this ain't working. Right? So if I'm constantly coping skills, trying it, or I'm giving you things to do and you trying it and it just ain't fitting for you, you can go back to that person and say, this ain't, what else we got? And I actually prompt my clients to do that. I tell them, try it. If you don't like it, cool, let's try something else, but just try it first. So you can hold your therapist accountable for what they know, their resume. You can pull them resumes. You can pull them resumes out. So don't be afraid to be like, can I see your resume? What's your experience? I get that question all the time. What experience do you have? Because I'm a young Black woman, so they assume that I'm not as smart as I am.
Yeah.
And then once I hit them with the resume, they be like, oh, and I be like, yeah, look, check me out.
Yeah.
You need proof of that? I got that too. So yeah, sometimes as a therapist, I feel like I have to read people when they like misjudge me based on my appearance.
Okay.
Wow.
We got a couple of more minutes because everybody want to see baby face them little flash off. So we're gonna get y'all off here by 8. What do you feel like your first therapy session was like versus where you are now in your progress, like in your growth as in a person as a person?
I was nervous my first time. I'm like, I'm going to somebody I don't know. I'm scared to tell this lady my like deepest secrets. Like, what am I going to get out of this by telling her what's bothering me? So I was nervous. I was really nervous my first time.
Okay.
I think for me, because my mother, it's the field that my mother is in, I wasn't really nervous because I had been around mental health and I knew about the mental health field and stuff. Child, I was ready to go in there and dump all that on somebody else. So I went there, I was crying and falling all out. And child, and even with Prophetess, with her being a counselor and all of that, like we celebrated when I stopped coming to counseling. When we celebrated when I stopped coming and crying. Like we were like, oh, you didn't cry today. Like we celebrated that there was a milestone. So for me, being able to see my progress, and so even though I'm still in close relationship with her now, I can see my progress from when she first got me until now because I don't go anymore. But like now I'm able to handle stuff on my own. So like now I'm able to engage in like regular conversation with her and stuff versus it'd be like, okay, oh my God, like get off the floor, stop crying today. It's so And with my other therapist, I remember when I stopped going, she was like, I'm, proud of you. We've made great progress since you're not angry anymore and you're not, you've learned how to deal with your feelings and how to cope and stuff.
I think that's too, like people don't understand, like your therapist, if it's a good therapist, they're invested in you, right? Like it's never just about the money. Like, trust me, we make money, but not for real. We do it. I mean, who wants to just listen to people's problems for money? You don't have a passion for that. So your therapist is invested in your journey too. And I know for me, y'all, when my clients got it together, they look like they got it together. Right? Because sometimes y'all, when y'all come to therapy, y'all can't see the physical of yourself. But it's something about somebody that's coming to therapy and they're growing and there's transformation you see. And so once they finally get it and that light bulb come on and they've like processing their truth and working on whatever, it's like this confidence that you see. And that's priceless when your clients, I mean, and I be hyping my clients up, child. So when they come in and they got it together, I be like, yes, all down the hall. Courtney, my friend on her, she knows it. I be super happy when my clients get together because that's a milestone and it is a celebration that should be celebrated because if you came there, you was really struggling with something. And when you leave, we want you to be able to say, hey, like I learned a lot from this and I grew from this, and that's the goal. So the goal of therapy is not for the therapist to fix you. The goal of therapist is for you to learn how to fix yourself. We don't want
Krystal,
go ahead.
I have a question. Is it normal to feel like you always need a therapist? Just
No.
with different
Yes,
things.
It's normal. Yeah, I mean, do you always need a PCP?
Yeah,
you do, right? You always need that person. You're going to go to your gynecologist to get checked up every year. You're going to go to your PCP to get checked up every year, right? Why not go and check on your brain?
That's good.
Why not go check on your brain? Because I also want to say this, and I know I sound like a lot of nerdy in certain points, but I also want people to know that it's science. It's not that we're just here talking to you. It's a brain science. This is real. Your brain is an organ just like everything else in the body. And what we know is that sometimes your brain is so conditioned to do stuff, it will behave before you even get a chance to. So what we call it is fire and wire together. When something happens, your brain, it does this. It moves like this. So your brain will move through a neural pathway just because it's used to. That's what it's used to doing, right? So if you go off on people a lot, and you trying to stop going off on people, that's real hard, ain't it? It's
That's
real hard.
hard, right? That's
It's
hard.
hard to stop because your brain is trying to take this neural pathway. So I know when somebody go off on me, I'm gonna go off back. Your brain
You're
will do
going
it
off, right?
Wow.
because it's a science. So when
Wow.
you come to therapy, what we're doing is reprogramming your brain to create a new neural pathway.
Wow.
Saying, brain, instead of you going this way, I'm giving you an option to choose another way. So if I keep choosing this other way enough, then my brain won't automatically go this way. It'll go this way because I'm not using this one as much.
Wow.
So when
Okay,
you're
that
coming to,
makes sense.
it's not about us just talking. We're trying to recirculate some neural pathways and create some new options of things that you can do and train your brain to do those things instead of like doing the thing that it normally does. So it's a science behind it that your therapist might not share with you. Your therapist might not really be into like neuroscience, and I'm not either. I just had to take a class and it made sense. So it makes sense now that I'm applying it, but that's just helpful for people to me to know that some of the stuff that you do in your life is not because of you. It's just because of the
Okay.
way your brain is wired.
Okay.
So my last question, y'all, and we're gonna get off because we've been on here for like 50 minutes now. That's a whole session. So my last question is, if you have advice for anybody that thinks about going to therapy as going to a therapy as a Black person, like what would you say? Like how would you encourage them to go?
I'll just say go and give it a chance. You have nothing to lose. To go and just give it a chance and see what it does for you in your life.
I agree with Xavier. To me, there is no reason why you shouldn't or try, like I said in the beginning, you don't know how where you are mentally until you go and you peel back those layers. And you hear and you discover why you process things the way that you process things, why you think the way that you think, why you feel the way that you feel, why you even behave the way that you behave. I think for me, it's made me a better person. It's made me a better parent. It's helped me to be more objective. So I think for me, it was definitely a plus. But I think like you never know until you try. You never know until you try, and I think it's like Xavier said, it's definitely worth it.
Yeah.
I think the last thing I have to say is don't be afraid of investing in yourself.
That's true.
That's what therapy is to me. It's an investment in yourself. And I say that because it's a lot of stuff that we learned in childhood, that we went through in childhood, the way we was raised, what we have seen, what we have been through as people, and it has affected us for real. And a lot of people, especially Black people, because this is who this is geared to, child, we think dysfunction is normal.
Don't we?
And when somebody tells you that they're not doing something dysfunctional, it's like, what? You know, like, and that recently just happened to me. Like, I think I shared something with one of my family members about like what I'm doing in dating, and that person was like, what? That's crazy. And I'm like, that's kind of healthy though. Like,
right.
Healthy. I mean, it's unusual, but it's healthy. So sometimes it's you get so used to dysfunction that you don't even know that you operate dysfunction. And so going to therapy is an investment in yourself, and it's also an investment in your kids, in your future. Because baby, if you don't know how to cope, how them kids gonna know how to cope?
That's very, very true.
If you popping off on somebody, how your kids not supposed to pop off on somebody?
That is so true.
If you don't know nothing but I'm sad, happy, mad, how they gonna know how they feel?
That is so true.
Right.
And then your kid go to school, and now you're sending your kid to me or somebody else, because I don't work with kids, FYI. I can refer you out though. But you send your kids to a therapist because they're doing these things and you don't know where it came from. It came from you. It came from your mama. And it came from my mama. And y'all just keep doing this.
It's a cycle.
It's a cycle that in our community we have to break. Just because mama did it and just because grandma did it don't mean it was right.
Don't make it right. Amen. Yeah.
Right. That is so true. That is so true.
They did what they know. And if you are a Black woman, I'm pretty sure you've heard, tie your bootstraps up. My mama got a favorite one. Don't judge her because I love her. But she always be like, put your heart in your pocket. And I'd be like, sis, but it's on my sleeve right now, and I gotta cry about it. And I gotta talk about it, and I gotta wear this thing out until I figure it out, and then I can maybe put it in my pocket. But I can't just try my bootstraps and move. That doesn't work.
Yeah.
It don't work. I gotta process this. Okay. What it means for me. So I just want to say that if you don't do it for yourself, do it for your kids, do it for your seeds. Even if you don't have kids. I don't have kids, but I don't want to pass down something to them because I ain't taking the time to get myself together.
And people don't realize that is so important, because even with being a parent now, I think about what kind of parent would I have been if I had not gotten help for my anger. Because I mean, with children, like, you know, they're gonna push your limits, they're gonna test the boundaries.
Right, you have to be patient.
You have to be patient. And I was just like, Lord, what kind of parent would I have been if I had not gotten help, you know, back 2 years before she was born? Like I don't think I would have been as good of a parent.
And I think sometimes people just think about like anger issues, but there's other things too, like anxiety. Like we can all be transparent. I ain't y'all therapist, but if y'all want me to be, I can. But I ain't y'all therapist yet. But we lost our friend last year, and it's a very transparent post, but we lost our friend last year. And I personally suffered from anxiety for like a year.
Me too.
And I didn't counsel people, because I just wasn't in a space where I could take other people's stuff on, because I wanted to be healthy before I helped someone else. But from that arrived this fear that if I don't get my anxiety together, how am I gonna be somebody's mama? Because I can't be scared all the time.
And parenting with anxiety is worse. When I had my anxiety attack, it scared my baby so bad. So it's even worse when you have, because I didn't even know I suffered with anxiety until Jesse died. And the day that I had my anxiety attack, I was at my mother's house, visiting my mom. And I thought, you know, Jesse had been gone a couple of weeks. I thought I was good to go. I thought I was fine. And all of a sudden, it was just like, boom, it happened. My baby had been potty trained for 2 years. She had an accident. She freaked out because what's going on with my mama? Why is my mama on the floor and all of this? So you don't even realize, like, as a parent, what that does. So now my 4-year-old is like, Mommy, are you okay? And I'm like, no, Mama's fine. But that one experience last year scared her.
And I know a lot of parents from friends and just counseling is that how many of y'all, and y'all can't raise your hand on this video, but when you crying and you sad, your baby comes to you and say, it's okay, Mama. And they give you a hug and they give you a kiss.
But then you feel bad because your child knows something's wrong.
Your child knows something wrong. But if you are a parent, that is okay, because you're going to show your child, if you know how to cope. Because it's not healthy showing them that you won't go through nothing. Because when they go through something, what they going to do? Right? So it's not about you showing your kids that you're invincible, that you have everything together. It's showing them that I'm a normal person and I have normal emotions. But when I have these emotions, this is how I deal with them. So one day when you're sad, this is what we're going to do. We're going to teach you how to deal with this. But because that didn't happen for us, we don't know how to do it for our kids.
We don't know how to.
That's so true.
Right.
So when we start to think about, you know, and I'm pretty sure people that's watching this is 30-something, you know, 20-something, 30-something, you got to think about your future. So therapy is just not an investment in now. It's an investment in later. Because when we think about therapy, what do you want your life to look like? And do you want to go? Because listen, I done counseled a lot of people that's 50 years old that's ignorant. And the only thing that I can say is like, Lord, I don't want to still be learning these 23-year-old lessons at 50.
Right.
I don't want to be learning it. Like, thank you, God, that I done figured that out. Because trust me, you just don't learn it just because life keep going. Now you keep doing the same stupid stuff you was doing when you was young if you don't go and work on it.
Right. That's so true.
That's true.
It's an investment. You're investing in yourself. Some people talk about price. I'm gonna tell this and then we're gonna get off because it's 8:00. But with price, sometimes people think therapy is a little steep. Ask your therapist, if you don't have the money, can they offer a sliding scale, which means that I don't have the money, but I need the help. Most of your therapists will slide their scale, which means that they will charge you a lower price because they ain't in it for the money. If you have insurance, that's an option. If you want to be on a payment plan, that's an option. And that's just not for me. That's just for therapists in general, because we do what we do because we love it, not because we're trying to get rich at it. I mean, some companies, Chris, offer like EAP or something. Yeah, like if you have insurance and your company offers EAP, call them and ask them. We don't share that information with them. We don't share what your sessions is about. We don't share any of that. But they'll give you a certain amount of free sessions. At this
Yeah.
point, I'm currently going through Cigna to be a provider, and they were like, we're going to send our EPA people to you. So you can call your insurance, see how much it costs to have a session, see what your copay is, see if you do have EPA benefits. I know that I didn't even have to use my EPA for one job. They just automatically gave us like 5 free sessions because we were mental health professionals. So I didn't even have to use EPA. I just had to claim those 5 free sessions just because of the type of job I did.
Okay.
So you have multiple ways that you can do it. And if you have to go to a community mental health agency just because you need to talk to someone, do that. They have available option like safety net. Safety net is where you don't have to pay anything based on your income. If you don't have it, they'll pay for your medication, they'll pay for your therapy. But you can get help, like if you want to get help. And if you don't know how to get help, if you don't live in the state of Tennessee and you need help, email me. I'm charged to tell you where to go. I'll hand you out some suggestions.
Right. Use your resources. Help is definitely out there.
We are a resource. We do want to help you.
Yeah.
But honestly, y'all, that's it. We made it to 8 o'clock. I feel like this was a very good thing. We had a couple of technical issues in the beginning. Thank you guys for like coming on and like sharing your experience and sharing what you went through in your life and how therapy has helped you. And maybe this can help someone else decide that they want to make the change in their life to become better people. We're gonna try to do this series. I ain't gonna lie to y'all and say every week, but at least every 2 weeks. I'm gonna try to bring Dr. Parker on next week. After that, she's a psychiatric nurse practitioner, and I'm going to try to bring someone on who does take mental health medication to talk to you about side effects and what they're like and your options with working with a doctor. And then the next time, I'm going to try to talk about my kid got a problem. What do I need to do? So I'm going to try to bring a child therapist to talk about ways that signs and symptoms that your kid may be going through something that you don't know that they're going through something, and how to recognize those, and where do you go to get help for them if they're pediatric. So we're just going to talk about a lot of Black topics that we don't talk about in our realm of things to get people help. But other than that, y'all, bye. Thank y'all.
Bye. Enjoyed it.
Bye.
Thank you for tuning in.
Bye, Facebook.
Bye, everybody.
We're going to see y'all next time.